My name is Barry Worthington. I am a filmmaker, and I am from Gaithersburg, Maryland.
If you can go back in your memory, is there a particular memory that you have or of like a piece of media or experience that you had that made you want to pursue film as a profession?
Definitely. I remember I was probably about 6 years old, and I'd already known I loved stories. I think I'd figured I was going to be a writer when I grew up. But then I saw what was, I think, a highly, highly, highly censored version of Jaws. And right then and there, I knew this is for me. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And part of the reason was because I had seen so many movies up to that point, but the way that the camera worked in that movie, you know, and spoiler alert, a lot of it, the camera behaves as the perspective of the shark. I had thought about, I've never seen that in a movie, and it opened my mind that there's all kinds of different techniques to make films. And so then I started thinking about what else can you do when making films? How else can you use film to convey anything to an audience? Right after we saw it, I grabbed my family's video camera. We had a VHS-C camera, and I went right to work trying to teach myself how to make movies. Trying to make my own versions of Jaws. My parents would take me to the Baltimore Aquarium so I could film the sharks and, film the reefs and, make my own versions of the movie. I had a bunch of toy boats. We'd come back home and I'd set up my shots with the characters on the boats. I would also sometimes, I was doing all my editing in camera, and I would sometimes film parts of the movie. And for the soundtrack, I really wanted the Beach Boys music in the movie. So I would, turn on the radio, put a cassette in, and record the audio through the microphone. And that was how I got the soundtrack of the movie. So, all this, it was just me, just kind of trying to learn it all for myself growing up. And definitely, I think without a doubt, it was Jaws that made me want to do that for sure.
I wanted to ask what you love about storytelling in film as a medium compared to other mediums of storytelling.
I think perspective has so much to do with why I like film, as it is my favorite way of telling stories, I think. Like I said, with Jaws, it made me think about the camera can act like the perspective of the shark. Well, what else can the camera do? How else can a camera be utilized to show different perspectives, whether from people or themes or experiences? Maybe it is a monster in the water. Maybe it's, the perspective of somebody living a completely different life than you. I think in that way, film can help us connect with other people and other experiences outside of our own. We can feel and see life differently and experience things outside of our own perspective. And in that way, I think we can learn more about each other. We can navigate the world differently. It's also just plain fun. I think it's just there's so many possibilities of how you can connect with film and what you can take away from it.